Sourdough Sam.
No,
Sourdeath
Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Disrespect to Sourdeath Sam will not continue.
Welcome everybody. Hang tight. Just tweeting out to my, 5 followers or whatever that it is go time. Let me know in the chat, how is your day going? What are you thinking about? How is your Thanksgiving? That's really what matters. I'll tell you a little bit about my Thanksgiving. Nobody asked, but I'll tell you. My Thanksgiving was pretty damn good. My parents met my girlfriend's dog for the first time, so
Yes, sir.
spent some time with the mom, spent some time with the dad, and that was beautiful. Watching a little beagle hop up on my dad, that was really nice. And then on top of that, got to have some Thanksgiving dinner and watch the game over at my girlfriend's dad's house. That was a vibe, especially because we won, which I will get into very soon here, as soon as I tweet this out. And yeah, I'm just super, super, super relieved. I gotta tell you, okay. I gotta tell you, man, it was the most relieving thing on earth to have witnessed the 49ers beat the Seattle Seahawks on their turf, throwing turkey legs up in the stands. That's what I'm talking about, baby. I can't tell you how scared I was for that game. I was talking on the show last week with Ashley, who was really great for her to come on. And, I think we were saddled with more trauma than they were, certainly. Those players had not been, there are no carryovers from the Harbaugh era that I know of. So we are a unique breed of trauma recipients. And for us to get through that game with such a resounding victory was amazing. Sourdeath and the Bread Gang, holy W. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jordan Anderson says, saw the 49ers beat the Seahawks in Seattle at the game. Best Thanksgiving ever. Ooh, brother, you were at the game? That's what's up, dude. To all of you who went to the game, that's amazing, man. That is commitment in a way that, I wish I could have been there. But honestly, I would have been scared. I've been to 2 games so far this year, 1-0 of them. So I'm done going to games, probably including the playoffs. So smash that like button and the subscribe button. You feel me?
Yes.
I need followers, man. I'm down bad. Guys, it's really great to be back. Again, really excited that we were able to conquer the Seahawks. That was amazing, but we have a tough test ahead. And clearly there are a lot of there's a lot of trepidation with this game. The stakes are high. It is a flashback to the NFC Championship. We are effectively jockeying for the number 1 seed in the NFC. And we know that the Eagles are going to be our toughest opponent, yet perhaps our toughest opponent all season. When you look at things from this perspective, we are effectively getting a audition for what we presume the playoffs could look like, especially an NFC Championship game. And I got to admit, this game makes me a little nervous. Not in the sense that I think we're going to lose, but just in the sense that anything could happen here, right? We are potentially at risk of losing to this team and getting into our heads about thinking that we may not be as good as we thought we were. Or the inverse, we walk away with a resounding victory, even just a victory, and we convince ourselves that we are built to win now. And that's what we're hoping for. I'm going to hop into a few tweets that I saw earlier today that I thought were just kind of worth bringing up. Just some really good insights from some old chaps that I fuck with. Steph Sanchez, friend of the show. Since week 6, Brock Purdy has thrown from a clean pocket the least of any quarterback. And guess what? He throws it pretty fucking good.
Yes, sir.
The thing about Brock
Yes,
Purdy
sir.
that fascinates me is I talk about this all the time. He has just finally eclipsed his rookie suite of games. And when he's under pressure, he throws some really good balls. Of course, he's going to throw some ducks because sometimes the pressure is insurmountable. But I have seen him under pressure throw some amazing throws, which is really impressive for someone who doesn't have as much experience. Second tweet, players to keep track of, Zachary Greer, also a friend of the show. He might be watching right now. Love you, Zach. Players to keep track of. CMC is 61 yards away from an 1,000-yard rushing season. Last 1,000 rushing season was 2019. That is 4 years ago for anyone keeping track. Niners haven't had a 1,000. Oh, yeah. Wait. I don't know where that's going. Niners haven't had a 1,000. Oh, I see. His last 1,000-yard season was in 2019. My bad. The last time the Niners had a 1,000-yard rusher was in 2014 by a guy named Frank Gore. We may know who he is. He's a pretty popular guy. He's also 7 touchdowns away from tying Jerry Reich's touchdown record in a single season. Whoa. And shout out Brandon Ayuk, 119 receiving yards away from 1,000. Last one to show from my guest who is coming on tonight. Let's make this a little bigger. Jonathan Feliciano blocking 2 Seahawks players at once. Gotta love that, dude. Multitasking.
Yes,
Kyle Shanahan loves his versatile players. You know what? Let's just have one offensive lineman block 2 guys. Why not? And then, of course, his punchline at the end. Talk about killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That's some shit I found interesting. I don't know about you. I found it interesting. If you liked it, if you learned something, smash that like button. Smash the subscribe button. I need fucking subscribers, man. Y'all are fucking letting me down. All right. You know who else lets me down, by the way? Before I just jump in case you don't know, I have the illustrious, the legendary Brad Graham coming onto the show later on. So stay tuned, audience. I have that legend come onto the show very, very soon, but I got some more bullshit to put you through. And what better person to bullshit with than my man, Kyle 5000. Kyle, man, what's going on? How are you doing? How are you feeling after that victory? Thanksgiving game, Seahawks. This is no joke, baby. That was a real W, if I could say so myself.
Feeling great after the victory. It's always a boost to the team's morale and a testament to our hard work. Looking forward to keeping this momentum going. How about you? How are you feeling about the win?
I'm feeling good, baby. That shit was fire. You know I like that. Here's what I want to know. We have a matchup coming up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, the last game brings back bad memories. What do you think we need to do to win the game? Because I'll be honest, I've got a few concerns, but I want to hear what you think.
To tackle the Eagles effectively, we need a solid game plan on both sides of the ball. Offensively, it's crucial to maintain possession and control the clock. We should focus on a balanced attack, utilizing both the run and pass effectively. Defensively, putting pressure on their quarterback and limiting their explosive plays will be key. It's also important to stay disciplined and avoid costly penalties. This matchup is a chance for redemption and to showcase our team's resilience and growth.
Absolutely. Well put. Hey, last question. How do you feel about our guest coming on later, Brad Graham? He runs the SF Niners account. Just an absolute mensch. What do you think? Because personally, I feel honored to have him on the show.
I'm excited about having Brad Graham on the show. His work with the SF Niners account is impressive, and he brings a unique perspective as a former offensive lineman. His insights into the game, especially regarding the trenches, are always enlightening. Plus, he's known for being a genuinely nice guy, which makes for great conversation. It'll be interesting to hear his take on our current lineup and strategies, especially with the big game against the Eagles coming up.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle 5000. Oh, baby. Oh, well, he loves you too. Obviously, he had nothing but nice things to say. And same with me. I'm going to gas you up, baby. Get ready. Get ready. That's going down.
Yes, sir.
Before we bring on the guest, I have just one more thing that I'm going to put you through. These Eagles fans are fucking trash. They're trash. They're trash. They're assholes. That's what they do. We got to dish it back. You know what? Fuck you. Unless you're nice. If you're a mean Eagles fan, fuck you. And let me show you why with the new segment that I call 5 Shitty Things Eagles Fans Have Done. All right. Let's start with number 1. Openly applauding Talanoa Hufanga's injury. Now, a little misleading here. They weren't applauding it, but I saw a tweet floating around, a little dancing gif, dancing video, whatever, after he got injured. You know what? Fuck you. Number 2, accosting Fred Warner's wife. Listen here, man. She didn't ask for this. She doesn't need you up in her grill, man. She wasn't even wearing red, dude. Fred put her on game. Fred said, do not wear red. All she did was pull up with a red purse, which, by the way, she tried to hide. She was trying to forfeit getting involved. And yet, just absolute trouble. So you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you. And telling her that you hope her plane crashes, absolutely mental, dude. Absolute mental case behavior. Moving on. Number 3, threatening Shaq Lawson and Jordan Phillips' family. Dude, just what the fuck, dude? You guys are just so ridiculous. Absolute insane asylum behavior. Get a job, bozos. Get a job. Let's go to number 4. Number 4. Punching police horses. Why are you doing that, dog? If you haven't read, there was a Philadelphia Eagles fan punching a police horse. He got arrested, obviously. I would like to imagine that the horse handled the business itself, but I can't prove that. But just what the fuck, man? Get out of here with that. And then I got one more for you. Sorry, I'm also writing an email to our guest because he's a great friend. I will do anything for him. And the last thing that I have to add is they fucking punch Santa Claus. Or they boot Santa Claus. Are you kidding me, bro? That dude does nothing but nice things. Nothing but nice things. All right. You want to get involved with Santa Claus? Come talk to me. All right. Come talk to me in person. Mano y mano. All right. The only thing that I need right now is for the Eagles to just shut the fuck up. And I'm allowed to say that because, I just kind of say whatever the fuck I want on here. And it's beautiful, dude. And look, let's be clear. I am not accusing all Eagles fans of being trash. Look, I see footage of 49ers fans duking it out for effectively no reason. So we got our own demons, but it's just the consistency of the obnoxious behavior that I see. So Philadelphia, I hope we just beat you senseless. I hope the score just humiliates you. I hope you all leave cold and miserable, and the hope just gets sucked out of your eyes and your heart. And I hope you have a terrible day, because Sunday, that's what we're coming after. We're coming after you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what I got to say about that. Let me see if I got any comments in here. We got Axel saying, yo, what's good? The vibes. Oh, you know what else is good? One last thing. Sorry, guys. I got Brad in the wings, though. He's coming on. I promise. One last thing. It is my $5 pick'em. That's right, baby. That's right. I am addicted to losing. I'm addicted to it. So I do these parlays every week to furnish that habit of losing. And let me tell you something. This week's going to be different. I know I see that every week, but this week it's going to be different. I got Rashad White. He's going to get more than 57.5 rushing yards. He's actually been pretty good to me on these parlays. He's not usually the reason I lose. Tua Tagovailoa, 22.5 completions, over that. Sam Laporta, touchdown. Why not? George Kittle, same thing. It's going to be a receiving touchdown. If he gets a rushing touchdown, hey, that would be sick. But it's going to be receiving. I just feel it in my bones. Brian Robinson, I also think he's going to get a touchdown. Now, you might be wondering, hey, Sourdeath Sam, that's a lot of touchdowns in a parlay. And I'm not sure if that's going to hit. You know what I'd say? It never hits. I don't care. But if it does hit, $328.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And look, if it doesn't, it's only $5. That's why I love parlays. That's why I love them. All right, guys, you've hung around long enough. You're ready for this action. Are you ready for this action? Audience, are you ready for this action? Without further ado, guys, I am going to bring on my illustrious guest, Brad Graham. What is up, dude? How are you doing? Oh, no audio.
Perfect start. I'm so honored to be on this show with you. I'm a big fan. I watch, it's probably one of the most I watch of other content creators. I have to say, I'm very honored to be on the show with you tonight.
Man, that means a lot. First of all, just nothing but kind things to say. One of my favorite things to do whenever I do this show is to gas up my guest as much as possible. A, because it comes from the heart, and B, so that I hope you come back. But truthfully, I am, first of all, so grateful for you to take the time to do this. Obviously, you've built a really disciplined, multifaceted content platform for 49ers to enjoy their team in ways that is really, really comprehensive. You're really A-game on Twitter. You're really A-game on Instagram. Everywhere I look, you're there. Just really, really impressive what you built. So, of course, I wanted to gas you up. I got to do that. So thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I'm not going to lie. One of the things that I've been looking forward to the most is the soundboard. I just love it.
Yes, sir.
Yep, I've been waiting for that one. Let's go. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Dude, I say that in my daily life. I've actually had guests of the show tell me that they say that in their daily life now, which honestly, it makes me happy. I appreciate that.
No, it's really amazing. It's something that brings and sparks joy in my life. It really does.
Oh, same here, dude. True story. When I worked a corporate job, and I had like a portable sound machine. It was like when you get at like Urban Outfitters, like this big. So like I've been training for this for years. And I think I was the morale hire. Like I did good work, but like I think my key value was making sure my coworkers didn't want to just jump off a bridge. And the soundboard was a very big part of that. But hey, thank you for coming on. Well, obviously we've got a lot of, this is a great show. I wanted you specifically for this one. Because obviously the Eagles game is arguably the game that we had most highlighted out of the whole season. You could argue it was the Cowboys. We ran through that one. It was Eagles right after that we had circled. Perhaps for worse because we lost 3 games straight. But we're back. It feels like we're getting into a groove. So let's talk about these cooked birds that we ate for Thanksgiving. 31-13 victory against the Seattle Seahawks in a curse-lifting victory. I think it meant a lot to us lifers who've been watching the 49ers for a long time. I personally was a major Jim Harbaugh fan. So to see that era effectively fall apart at the crux of that moment, watching Richard Sherman eating turkey legs on our new field, just hurt in a way that is hard to describe. Just from a fan's perspective, how did the victory resonate with you this time?
I think you explained it perfectly. That's really what it felt like. It felt like a curse was lifted. You know, when when we look back on that era, the Harbaugh era, it's such a phenomenal time for fans like you and I who had only known losing really up until that point. I was born in 89, so I was on the tail end of the glory days with the San Francisco 49ers, and when I became a fan, it was hard to be a fan. It was Nolan, Erickson, Singletary, and then Harbaugh came along and we had hope, right? We had this glimmer in our eye that we were going to be back and we were going to win another ring. And it was like, we have the squad, we had the defense. The offense was, doing good enough that we could beat these teams. But it was those Seattle Seahawks that just kind of came out of nowhere when they drafted Russell Wilson and developed the Legion of Boom and all of that stuff. And then it all culminated in that game on Thanksgiving where we were riding high and it just came crashing down. Oh. And it's been this weird spot with Seattle, right? It's almost like we have a Seattle PTSD because of the way the 49ers have lost to them in big time playoff games, that specific game on Thanksgiving. So about 10 years later, right, they're eating turkey on their field. It was so cathartic. I felt like it was like a curse that now can be lifted and we can breathe a little bit. And it's like, wait a second, we own Seattle now. The tables have turned.
That part. Yep. And it's so funny you mentioned the word cathartic, and because first of all, it's spot on. But and it's funny how this is such an impactful victory on such a level that goes beyond this existing season that it's occupying the first half of this whole conversation. And here's what I'll say is honestly, the part that meant the most to me was when they started throwing turkey legs to the 49ers fans in the crowd, because in a way it was almost symbolic of it almost felt like we needed that bite of that turkey as bad as the players did. The players, again, I said it on the show that I have with Ashley. I said it at the top of this show. These players were not in the Harbaugh locker room. These players are here understanding that Seattle is a rival, but they do not have the baggage that we do. They all were playing high school football and college football in their respective states and cities. They did not have the moment that we had at Thanksgiving being my heart is shattered. So for them to be able to sort of toss that moment to the fans so that they could also have a taste of the moment in a way that was truly cathartic, I think that to me was super special. Watching Nick Bosa turn down a turkey for whatever nutritional reason he did, and watching CMC nosh into it like he's a rabid boar, that was all beautiful. But the toss of the turkey legs, that to me was poetry. And was so grateful to be witnessing this team sort of lift the curse. And I think you also hit another thing on the head, which is that we need to accept that maybe we're the bullies this time. We need to accept that maybe every time Seattle wants to sniff a trophy, we snatch their hopes and dreams from them. Maybe that's our lane now, and maybe this is finally it coming full circle. Because quite frankly, we all knew going into this game that the talent level was higher with the 49ers. Brock Purdy had a pretty good game, 21 for 30, 209 yards, a touchdown. But then you got CMC with 2 touchdowns, 114 yards of rushing, 25 yards receiving. Debo with a rushing touchdown. Ayuk with a beautiful pass, 50 yards total, got a touchdown. Off of 2 receptions, 50 yards. You know what I mean? He was balling. So really, really impressed. And we'll get into the defense in a second because I think we're back in a lot of categories. But how did you feel overall about the performance on the field and not just sort of the existential relief that you felt?
No, but I got to agree with you with the full circle moment, throwing it to the fans, because I think you make a great point. A lot of these players, they weren't in the locker room. They didn't experience that drought and that heartache. So it was watching that one fan just taking a big bite into one of those turkey legs. I was like, yes, brother, yes. But the play on the field, the 49ers are heating up at the right time. And obviously, so much was made about that skid going into the bye and the questions and the critiques and all this different types of things. They go out to identify that they needed to add an additional edge rusher. They go get Chase Young, plug him in. Feels like him with Steve Wilkes coming down to the booth has really helped the defensive side of things. And then with the offense, it was just getting healthy, right? Getting Trent Williams back, getting Deebo Samuel back. And when the 49ers have all their weapons and they're ready to go, they are an extremely difficult team to stop. And honestly, the way Brock Purdy is playing, it's going to be a really adverse situation that appears it's going to stop him because he seems to find success in a lot of adversity and outside of structure. You know, we hear the term all the time. He's a system quarterback, but he does make a lot of plays outside of structure, which I think theoretically breaks that term away from him, because if you're doing things and finding success out of structure, like that touchdown to Brandon Ayuk, you know, that was not intended for him at all. And
I'm glad you said that. That was going to be the point I was going to jump in on.
Because his ability to work off his initial reads, come back across the field, and you hear it in coaching all the time, don't ever throw across your body. Don't ever throw across the field because you're asking for an interception. Have you noticed that Brock Purdy does this regularly? He's done it this season. He's done it last season. He just throws across his body opposite direction. Have you paid attention to that?
Yeah. He does it quite frequently.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing to watch the maturation of Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense in general. And Seahawks, man, they got spanked pretty good.
Absolutely. And look, they were short in offensive linemen. They were also short on their running back room. Zach Charbonnet, I think I'm pronouncing his name right. Maybe I'm making it more French than it should be. They had to rely on him. He actually was their leading receiver. People don't realize that. In fact, let's just jump.
I didn't know that.
Let's just jump into that because we're winning with Wilkes. Let's talk about this defense for a second. So, yes, Zach Charbonnet, I swear to God, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I think I am. 4 receptions was the most receptions out of anyone on that team on Thanksgiving. A lot of receivers had 3. DK Metcalf, notably, only had 3 with held to 32 yards, which super impressive. And another important statistic here, 6 sacks. This is sort of what we were pressing our defense to do all along. And, you know, we have Chase Young, who I think was the difference between the cup being full and then the cup pouring over. And that is what we're beginning to see, is that all of a sudden, because when you pulled up the statistics, because one of my shows, I pulled up the stats from where we were up to that point this year, where we were up to that point last year. We were actually outperforming in a lot of categories, but where we were not overperforming was sacks. And ultimately, our bully defense, demoralize the offense type of style of play really kicks into gear when that quarterback starts tasting dirt. And that's what we've begun to see. 6 sacks is beautiful. And we have seen a consistency in that delivery, both from Chase Young and from Nick Bosa. And now they're starting to get some juice. Now they're starting to get some swagger. And I can't attest, nor could I quantify the value of what moving Steve Wilkes down to the sidelines has done. But I can say that Chase Young plus Steve Wilkes on sideline plus whatever adjustments that he had to make over that period of time has equaled more success and a stabilization and consistency in a defense that we needed to see badly going into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. It's really hard to put your finger on exactly what the change was, obviously outside the fact of those 2 main factors. But could that be it? Could it really be that simple of taking Steve Wilkes, putting him on the field to shore up communication, pass along real-time adjustments, and that being the kind of thing to pivot the fortunes of the 49ers defense. And then, of course, like Chase Young's addition to this already stout defensive line has been so huge. And we've seen it already. 3 games with Chase Young, 49ers have racked up those elusive 15 sacks. And, when I was watching the 49ers defensive tape, one of the things that stood out to me early on in the season was their lack of pass rush from the opposite side. I've always felt like Cleveland Farrell's been a decent edge, but he wasn't that like difference maker that the 49ers needed.
Yep.
Opposite of him, and Drake Jackson came out with a bang with 3 sacks against the Steelers, and then we didn't really see much from him from that point moving forward. And then they get Randy Gregory, which was a nice move, but Chase Young was the move that they needed to make. And it's like a combination of those things. And I guess we can't forget either the adjustments with the secondary. In base down situations, you got Diamador Lenore and Charvarius Ward. And then when you move the nickel, you kick Diamador inside, and then you bring Ambry Thomas out. And Ambry Thomas is having a bit of a resurgence in his career. The defense is just absolutely playing lights out. We know Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner are going to be flying all over the field. And it feels like with the way the D-line's playing, the linebackers are playing more freely because they're not getting linemen on them. And everything is falling into play, right? It's the whole reason why the 49ers truthfully believe that you've got to build from the defensive line out, and you've seen that addition of Chase Young, the adjustments on the back end that Steve Wilkes has made has really rounded out this defense, and they're coming into form at the right time.
Absolutely. And you always want to stay in the moment, but it's so hard. You really hope Chase Young likes it here so much that he'd be willing to make concessions later down the road.
Because that a little bit.
Yeah, just as a just tiny one, man. If I were to guess, I think this will sort of be a nice reunion for him and Bosa. And then I think some tough decisions need to be made in the offseason. He very well could be on another team next year, but just what a clever move by John Lynch to bring him in at an effectively zero risk policy. I mean, compensatory pick effectively for Chase Young. I will take that for sure, especially knowing what we know now. So we really got to give John Lynch some credit. I think it's easy for us fans to just always be frustrated when we don't get the big ticket item on Twitter to talk about. But at the same time, they're trying to build for longevity, and I get that. And we're competing to win a Super Bowl convincingly. So until I see anything that causes grave concern, I got to commend him. I think he's doing a great job. But one thing we should talk about is we're going in to play the Eagles, and our offensive line could potentially be a question mark. Are we worried about the big boys being weak at the link, or do we think they're going to be solid up front?
Big boys weak at the link or solid up front? Well, the 49ers, I think, coming into this game, have a 21st ranked offensive line, I think, according to PFF, heading into this. So the 49ers offensive line has definitely struggled this year. It hasn't been, I would say, even what we've seen in years past. And I think a lot of that has to do with the interior. And when you see Jonathan Feliciano come in and fill in for Aaron Banks at left guard, we saw the run game kind of pick up a little bit. And then when you get Trent Williams back and then you shift Feliciano over to right guard, well, Christian McCaffrey had himself quite a day with 2 touchdowns and a lot of cutback lanes off that right side. I really do think that Feliciano has added a level of consistency to this group up front. Not only that, he used to play in that division. He's played in Philly multiple times. He's played against Philly. He has a familiarity with them after being with the Giants just last season. And the 49ers have a tough decision to make. Do you go with the young second-year player Spencer Burford at right guard, or do you stick with Feliciano, who over the last 2 weeks or so has really brought some consistency to the unit up front. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with this, because on one hand, you don't want to break a young player's, swagger or confidence, but at the same time, you got to put your best five out there. And when you're playing offensive line, it's all about playing as a unit. These guys got to play together, and that was what I identified as their biggest issue this season, is they just, as a unit, haven't been playing well. It was really hard to even pinpoint one player. I know it's really easy to look at maybe some whiffs by Colton McKivitz or Brendel getting pushed back, and you can be like, oh, well, he's the weak link. Honestly, when you look at the entire body of work, each one of them had mistakes at inopportune times, and it was causing delay after delay of delay in regards to finding running lanes and things like that. Feliciano has added some consistency. If I were them, I would keep Feliciano, because going into the link, man, they got to win this game on the ground. Like, I know we make a lot about Brock Purdy and the weapons that they have on the outside, and that's definitely going to be a huge, huge factor. But I really want to see this team take advantage on the ground. And so, are they the weak link heading into the link? Potentially. But when you got Trent Williams on that left tackle side, Aaron Banks getting healthy, and then you can sandwich Brendel with potentially Feliciano and Banks, that really helps Brendel in the center. And then as long as Colton McKivitz can continue to be serviceable, the 49ers can actually get this done on the ground. But I think it all starts with who they put in at right guard.
Totally. And I think you make a really, really good point about Feliciano having experience in that stadium under intense conditions. Look, I mean, he's a vet. They brought him in for a reason, and they brought him in because they paid him the money they did because they felt compelled by the idea that if they needed to be in a situation to trust an offensive lineman, he was their guy. Even if it was in a jam, they know that at least Feliciano has some stripes on his uniform with respect to what he has gone through. It feels like our offense is just a really fine-tuned F1 racing car. And then our offensive line is kind of when you open up the hood and there's some duct tape on a few of the cables. And look, baby, the fucking car works. Like, the car is still super fast. And it runs really well.
Still fast.
But like if the duct tape gets a little loose, like, you're in trouble. So that's where there is a little concern. What I will say is that the only time I was pulling my hair, like, really concerned about our offensive line play was obviously against Cleveland.
Yeah, that was
like, that one was just like, let's just get Brock out of here alive, dude. Because it was just bad news. Everyone knows the stakes of this game. So whatever the best performance is, the best regular season performances out of these offensive linemen, with the exception of Dallas, where clearly they were revving the engine harder than Dallas was, we're going to see that come out. Of course, we're going to get that same effort competing against us on their defensive line. And their defensive line can be tough, really tough. So getting the running game established, allowing Brock to do what he's been doing quite well lately, which is performing well, even with hands in his face, pressure in his eyes, and being able to execute the game plan without having to tear up any of the play sheets because we keep getting stopped. I think our offensive line is strong enough to get through. I also think that if I were to identify any point of concern, it's the offensive line. So really, it's kind of a wait and see. There's really no way to see what the crystal ball holds for us until the first snaps go off and we see what this looks like. But I would be a fool if I hadn't quizzed you on your thoughts on our offensive line. Do you have any sort of last thoughts before we move on to the general preview of 49ers versus Eagles?
I think your point is spot on. The 49ers offensive line can either help this team or hurt this team. It's going to be a serious point of emphasis The Eagles know that. The 49ers know that. And the biggest way to protect those guys up front is to be able to be effective on first down. And then everything that happens after that, they can get into rhythm and really protect those guys up front with the screen game, short passing game, and a lot of play action. The only thing I want to see is I want to see them solidify the run first. Last year, Kyle dialed up his shot to Brandon Ayuk. It was a play action. They didn't really slow the defensive line down just yet. They weren't biting on run. They were selling out for the pass, and they got into that play action look really early, and it was a good look, and BA won that route, but we saw how fast some things can change. So I just want to see them solidify the run early, and then once they do that, just really work the play action game effectively off that.
Absolutely. And that seems like a good segue for the 49ers versus Eagles, just general preview. I think it's going to be also critical to just get the ball out to our yak bros, our yak monsters, and just let them rip. I think waiting for the deep shots early on could be potentially dangerous. I think just quick strikes, I'm okay with it. If it takes us a while to get down the field, hey, I don't have a problem with that. We have so many good skill players. I mean, obviously our wide receivers, phenomenal. George Kittle, I think, could be a big key to this game if we need him to be. And then, of course, Christian McCaffrey, just incredibly versatile. But here's one point that I made for the Seattle game that I will double down on for this game because it really came true and it made a huge difference. We need to be disciplined about penalties. Yes. We cannot, as much as I love, like if I could hang one picture, one video in a museum in the Louvre, it would be the video of Trent Williams throwing down that Eagles defender onto the ground like he was just a tiny animal. Like just no effort at all. Just get out of my face. Love that video. But we need to make sure that we are not committing undisciplined penalties. Because we need every square inch of that field that we can get earned. And if we lose any of that, it's going to be a problem. And on the flip side, I would love to see the 49ers get the upper hand and watch the Eagles fall apart and try to bait us into penalties, only getting the flag thrown at themselves. I think penalties, when we have a clean sheet, we play good football. And that's what I really want to see from our team on a fundamental level. When you're looking at this game, what stands out to you?
I think that's absolutely a fair point, too, because when the 49ers get into penalty trouble, especially early on the offense, we've seen it just completely unravel on them. And it's just been they've had a really hard time playing from behind the sticks. So in a game against the Philadelphia Eagles, who we know are as talented as they are, the margin of error is paper thin. So penalties, turnovers, those are going to be the differences in this game because I do believe that the Eagles and the 49ers are going to go toe-to-toe all the way till the end. This is going to be one of those crazy games. It just feels like that. If this is a blowout, I've heard some people talking about it, and, I can maybe understand that because of the way the Eagles have played recently, but I just know the 49ers well enough and how the Eagles are winning these games. Nothing about this game tells me that it's going to be just one. Like, it could be. I could be completely wrong, and I would not be mind being completely wrong at that, but it just feels like this is going to be a heavyweight bout all the way to the final round. This just feels like it's going to be crazy. Like anything you could think of football-wise, like this has it all. This definitely has to be the game of the year.
Totally. The 49ers have been getting everybody's best effort. Like nobody is surprised in the NFL that the 49ers are doing well. Everyone in the NFL is very well aware of the type of skill that we have on our team. And you better believe that when any team shows up to play us, they are bringing maximum effort because we are one of those teams in the league that serves as a measuring stick. We are a team that tells other teams whether they're good enough to even be in the conversation of entertaining the idea of a deep playoff run. And now we're playing the Eagles, who are effectively the quintessential rivals with respect to a deep playoff run. And everyone is going to come in looking for blood. Sometimes during those games, we see people get chippy. Sometimes we see the energy is just through the roof for the first couple of series and they have to calm down. This game is not going to be a blowout, in my opinion, but I do think it's going to be an intense slugfest, like you were implying. I think that if we think this is going to be a Cowboys game, we are sorely mistaken. Because guess what? The Philadelphia Eagles have a get out of a 4th and 2 jail free card, and they've got a stack this high of them. Okay? Yeah. Do you know how many times we watch other teams punt in those scenarios because our defense is too good? Guess what? Not a single fucking defense is good enough to stop the tush push. So those 4th and 2s, you cash the check. It's going to work. It always does. So we are dealing with a different beast. And we cannot assume that we are going to see as many punts as we do because our defense is great. But we have had the luxury of having teams punt on a 4th and 2. And we may not have that luxury when we go into the link because the Philadelphia Eagles are... I have never had a play be such a subject of season-long conversation as I have seen the tush push. Not a single play in my life. The only formation was Wildcat, and then that fizzled out.
True.
Because everyone was like, oh, okay, this is pretty easy to stomp out.
Back in Miami was running the Wildcat, right?
Yep. And then Wildcat was the hottest craze. And then it was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't as like much of a secret sauce weapon as we thought it would. The tush push is so formidable that this is going to be a conversation that's held in the off season with all these billionaire fucking owners. So I say all that to say this, we're going to see a lot of times where most teams would have punted, and instead our defense stays on the field. Our defense has to keep chugging along, and we have to hope that we stop them fair and square with enough yardage that no matter how much Jalen Hurts squats, he is not going to be able to push his way past the sticks.
I really believe something in my gut is telling me that the 49ers are going to get a stop on one of these tush pushes. It might not be every single one. It might be 1 out of 10. I don't even know. But I just feel like the 49ers have something inside of them that will challenge them to stop this play. Because everyone's talking about it, right? You mentioned it. The tush push, brotherly shove, whatever. What are we going to call this play? You know, it's like everyone's talking about it. And something tells me that the 49ers are going to want to stop it. And not just because of that, but for the simple fact that one of these teams has to assert their dominance. And that's what that play is effectively, is them being like, you can't stop us. Even in a down and a distance where it would say all the analytics maybe are pointing towards punting and playing to live for another down or another series. They're like, no, we're gonna go for it. We're literally just going to lean forward and get our first down. I think the secret ingredient for the 49ers potentially stopping this is Javon Hargrave, and not because he played for the Philadelphia Eagles, but because of his skill set. Jason Kelce, how old is he now? Like 36. He's still moving like he's a young buck. Javon Hargrave is about 5'11". He's like, 315 pounds, and he is very fast off the ball. My whole thought process is you put him right over Jason Kelce, right, like almost helmet to helmet, because they're in a 4-point stance, and then you allow Javon Hargrave to just shoot right into Kelce because that's what Kelce's doing. And it's almost like, I don't know, like, do rhinos headbutt each other? Like, I don't know, like just these two massive animals just headbutting each other. But I really think that the leverage that Javon provides can stop them if he's able to get under Kelce and drive. And then if you have guys, over the top, from the side, I think the 49ers get one. That's my
get
hot
one.
take. Just
oh my
get
God.
one.
Even if look, if they hit us with like 8 tush pushes and we get one, that's a
one.
victory for me because this thing has been hard to stop, man. And honestly, it's funny. You have just a way more detailed, just really comprehensive strategy for that. Mine was just like Fred Warner a front flip, you know, just grab that dude, just throw him back, you know, like I don't know. That's a tough operation for a defensive coordinator to plan against. But you know for sure that the 49ers have been thinking about this. Like, you know that the defense is in the locker room like, what if we – do you think this would? Like, you know, like, I don't know.
Remember when Fred jumped over it against
That's
the
why I was
Vikings?
thinking Fred. That's why I was thinking Fred. Because I think somehow, even if he's not solely responsible, you can tell that his effort on the tush push is going to be all in. Like, you know that this is a play he can't stop thinking about. Because it's just so – tell a competitive world champion caliber defense that there's a play that can't be stopped. and watch how their fucking brain works. You think they're just going to accept no for an answer? Even if the result is no, you think that they're going to accept that before the game tells them that? No. They're going to try everything they can. Every drop of effort available in their body to ring like a sponge, they will bring to the table. So that'll be very funny to check out.
Could you imagine on the first drive of the game, you know, they're driving down towards midfield. They get into one of those 4th and short situations. Oh, the announcer's like keying up. Oh, they're about to run the tush push. Here are the percentages on the year. Them just completing almost every single one. And then the 49ers get an opening drive tush push stop. Could you imagine the electricity on the sideline of that type of momentum to stop the unstoppable play on the very first drive? That I feel like that would be the biggest moment. Like, that could be a bigger momentum changer than even a turnover, like which is effectively
it's
a
a
turnover.
2-for-1, right?
Yeah, if you're stopping them on 4th down, you're getting the ball back. So I just feel like, man, if they can get one of those in a big time pressure moment, that can really, really shift the momentum on such a trivial play, really, when it's all said and done.
Bro, I would go fucking dumb.
Yes, sir.
I would go crazy.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
I'm going to be hanging out. I'm going to be watching the game at an Eagles fan's house. But it'll be good. I think, and especially if we stop the tush push, it's going to be electric.
Yeah.
But any last keys, any last things you're looking for at this game before we hop into affirmations?
It's a big one, man. This one, you know, I thought like all the hype leading into Dallas, like this was going to be that was going to just be potentially the matchup of the year. And then as soon as we got into this week, how fast we got over the Seattle win, and we talked about how cathartic that win was, but we're so, even for how big that game was, we are so quickly moving beyond that and focusing on Philly. This game is absolutely the game of the year. This is another high-stakes game. Obviously, we know everything that's on the line, but there's the other elements to it. All the talk, all the situations from last year's game, and this is going to be such a phenomenal one. I can't wait. I'm literally all week have had butterflies in my stomach just waiting for this one.
Score prediction?
I think it's going to be in the range of about a 3-point victory. So if you want to go 27-24, that I'll throw that out there. I think it's going to be whoever has the ball last is going to be trying to win the football game, and it's whoever holds up last is going to be the winner.
My guess is it's going to be 17-13 49ers.
That feels accurate.
I don't know. I got a gut feeling. It's probably wrong. We'll find out. But it's going to be very tough to get there. I think there are some games, for example, and we've seen them even this year. There are some games where your team is winning and it almost feels like your team is losing. Or like the momentum of the game almost feels lopsided compared to the score. I feel like it might be one of those games where like the ball's bouncing our way. We're not on our home field. Remember that. So every minutia of a mistake that we make is amplified in the ears of all these players. Not to mention, it's going to be hard for our skill players to hear Brock Purdy when they're all the way on the outside. Even our offensive line is going to have a hard time. So let's not forget that there is adversity at hand that goes beyond just these players being good football players. I still think it's going to be 17-13. That's my pick. And I think that the reason why the Seahawks victory was so important before this is that if we stack that chip with the victory in Philadelphia, that is the definition of a team getting hot at the right time. And we still have a lot of ball to play. And if we can get our momentum high, that is the recipe for us getting a very nice seed in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
All right. So last thing before we sign off, have you been here for the affirmations? Do you know what affirmation? All right, that's what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
sir. Yes, sir.
That's why you make the big bucks. All right. Affirmations. So let me cue up the music here. For those who don't know, if this is your first time joining the show, if Brad brought you here and you're not sure what the hell you're watching, this is 49ers Public Access with Sourdeath Sam. And at the end of every show, I do the thing that everyone on Twitter hates to do, and that's be nice. I like to be nice. And the way I do that is we play some spa music. We just loosen things up. And we give some words of encouragement or compliments to players because that's what we do. We're nice guys. We both have beard. Hey, man, our beard game is very strong right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just, I got to mention. Randy Daytona's got some sparkles for us. All right, let's get this music started. Here we go. All right, let me turn it up a little bit. A little bit. 1 second. 1 second.
I'm instantly relaxed.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Sourdeath Sam.
I should sell this on Spotify, see if it gets any streams. Don't tell me with a good time, dude. I might. Okay. I will let you start because you're the guest, and that would be polite.
Oh, okay. So I am thankful for the San Francisco 49ers defensive line and how they have come together and really built a brotherhood and continue to hunt and attack opposing quarterbacks. The addition of Chase Young, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, a new player coming over from the Eagles. Couldn't be happier to watch these boys ball every Sunday.
So true, man. And you know what really warms my heart? In fact, I'll just say this one. I'll segue. I'll use you as a jumping off point. Chase Young, dude, welcome. Welcome, man. To Brad's point, we got a brotherhood on that line. And you guys are some tough dudes. And in addition to being tough dudes, you're wired the right way. And there were a lot of people, well, not a lot of people. There's one guy who said that the reports coming out of Washington was that you just wanted the splash plays, effectively insinuating a level of selfishness, or at least a level of wanting it all for yourself. And guess what? You and Nick Bosa have demonstrated that teamwork makes the dream work. And I am so grateful for you. And even if you're staying just for a little while, even if you're just on the air mattress just for the season, we love you. Get comfortable. Feel at home. You are appreciated.
All right. I have got to give a big time shout out, an affirmation to Brock Purdy. I just have to. Because of the San Francisco 49ers and where they are at right now, I could not imagine what the 49ers would be in situationally without Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has galvanized this offense of superstars, has been able to work through adverse situations and come out on top time and time again. And even when he has found adversity in that 3-game losing streak, he continues to rise and he continues to play at a level beyond what anyone could have expected. So I am thankful for Brock Purdy and what he has done for the San Francisco 49ers.
So true, man. So true. I think it's going to loop back. We'll do 2 more. But that's so real. I am such a Brock Purdy believer now. And it wasn't like I wasn't before. It's just I was of the reasonable camp of like, hey, let's see a whole body of work. And then we got our full we got our full 17 games worth of games. I was like, oh, this guy's the shit. You know what I mean? Even if it's Kyle Shanahan's system. Yeah, I've seen what Kyle Shanahan's system looks like with other quarterbacks, and it fucking stinks. All right? I'm happy. So, love you, bro. Love you. I'm going to do the one I do. Okay, I'll do a super quick one, and then the one I really want to do. Jake Moody, keep doing your thing. I love you. Congratulations. Okay. But I really want to highlight Ambry Thomas.
Good one.
I see you, bro. I see you putting in the effort. Mooney Ward gave you some tough love, apparently, and it's been working. You are showing up. You are filling in a void that terrified us. And look, mistakes are going to happen. Playing corner is one of the being a defensive back in the NFL might be one of the toughest jobs not named quarterback out of any of them, because it is really, 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 really hard to do what you do. And I am so grateful that you have the motor inside you to want to keep going, to keep getting better. And we recognize it. Your teammates recognize it. Your coaches recognize it. And I just want to say thank you, man, because that's going to be really helpful if we're going to be trying to make a deep run in the playoffs.
That is a great one. I was going to angle on Ambry Thomas as well, and I'll just add a little one on. I had him down and out. I had him as a cut candidate in training camp, and the fact that he is becoming a player we can rely on in big time moments. Well done. Well done, Ambry Thomas.
Yes, sir.
So this is my final affirmation.
Yes, perfect.
I would have to give it to Steve Sideline Wilkes. With the fire, the adversity, we know this fan base, and we love this fan base. They're probably, arguably, the most passionate fan base in all the land. And when they get hot about something, and you get in their crosshairs, you are target number one. For Steve Wilkes to make it through that fire, to take on all the heat from all the media and the stress of being a defensive coordinator fitting into the 49ers system and not the other way around, and coming out on top and having this defense playing some of the best ball of the year these last 3 consecutive games out of the bye. Couldn't be more thankful for Steve Wilkes and what he's brought to the table.
Bro, so real. So real. Man. That is such a good one, and he deserves it. And you know what I respected about him? What I respected about him so much was that he was just like, I'm built for this, dude. Like, whatever. Like, you guys are mad, just watch me. And he just was like, oh, okay, shit. Like, he did it. The thing that always gave me hope was how he handled the Panthers when they were handed to him. They fought for him. Obviously, there were some leaks coming out about Steve Wilkes, but we're showing up, and we're playing excellent defense, and so that is an excellent affirmation to end on. Brad, anything else to add before you sign off and I let everyone say goodbye?
anyone who's watching, whether if you came from my channel or you're just rocking with Sourdeath Sam, please subscribe to my guy's channel. I'm telling you, this is the most underrated, underappreciated content creator out right now. And my message to you would be just keep going, because I think you are onto something and you have an opportunity to flip the game on its head. And I want you to keep going, keep fighting, keep making content, because I love everything you do. You bring I don't know, is it a tone, a vibe, something? You bring an energy to this space that doesn't exist. And doing affirmations, that's one of I love it. Who knew? Like, who knew? But the point being is, you gassed me up at the beginning, and I appreciate that. But I know you're fighting to get subs, and you're fighting to this oversaturated landscape. My message would be keep going, because one day your stuff will pop, and I truthfully believe it. And I want you to keep going, man. I love your stuff.
Oh, bro, dude. That means a lot, man. It's, I've gone through probably like 32 stages of different manic moods with respect to doing this channel. Because
Totally
you start to wonder,
understand.
like, am I leaving things behind that I shouldn't? Should I, this and that? But every time I come on and have these conversations with folks like you, honestly, so many great creators out there, rejuvenates me. And of course, the people in the comments who also do a great job of being a marvelous peanut gallery for me, really does mean a lot. So, dude, I really do appreciate that. It means a ton. And I'm just grateful for you coming on. It really means a lot. I know you're absolutely killing it. And so for that reason, your words mean a ton. So I appreciate that, man.
Thank you, my brother. It's been a pleasure being on, and I've been waiting for that soundboard to pop up, and it's one of my favorite things. I love it.
Oh, dude. Well, don't be a stranger. If when and if we get in the playoffs, I might even try to do like a super show and just really go big with it. So I'll tap in with you. But
Definitely.
ladies and gentlemen, Brad Graham, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, what a nice fucking guy, man. Saying all those nice things about me. My mom would be so proud right now. All right, guys, that is my show. I am super grateful for Brad for coming on. Super grateful for you for watching. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a nice comment, write a letter to your local congressman. Do all those things. It will make me feel so good. And most importantly, fuck the Eagles, go Niners, and I will see you guys Sunday